Hi everyone, it's the Professor here. If you're a student going back to college or going to university for the first time, this is the video for you. Learn how to use Chat GPT to support your studies, not to cheat. And if you're a teacher or you're a lecturer, this is the video for you. Find out how to make sure your students are using this technology for the right reasons and not for the wrong reasons. Let's get into it. Chat GPT, AI, large language models, they are amazing. They can really help you become a great student. But the first thing, the most important thing, look at what your university or college says about the use of large language models, of AI in your studies. Ask your professor, your lecturer, your teacher. They're the authority on whether you can use Chat GPT safely. It's really important. So that's the place to go to first to find out whether this technology is available to you to use in your studies. Hopefully it will be, but use it properly. So you could do this. Write me a 2,000-word essay on the role of technology in learning. Press go and ChatGPT will produce exactly that. An essay, 2,000 words on the role of technology in learning. Amazing, eh? No, that's cheating. That's not your work. That's ChatGPT's work. You'll be caught. So 3 reasons why that's not acceptable. 1, it's not your work. It's been produced by somebody else, by an AI. It doesn't show your learning at all. So it's cheating. You will be caught. There are loads of bits of software out there that will find whether you've done real work or whether you've used ChatGPT. So you'll be caught, which might mean that you're thrown off your course or you get a 0. Don't do it. Secondly, you've put all of this time into learning. You're probably paying for your course, and getting ChatGPT to do it means that you're not getting the value out of your course. It's stupid. Don't do it. That's cheating. Don't do it. And thirdly, it will be rubbish. It will have errors in it. It will have made things up. It won't be fully referenced. It won't be good enough for you to submit. So even if you do, you'll get caught. And even if you don't get caught, you'll get a rubbish mark. And even if you get a rubbish mark, you've learnt nothing. Don't do that. That's cheating. That's not what it's for. But you can use ChatGPT for a myriad of other things. And I believe that it is something we should be using in education, and we should be supporting students to use it and to use it effectively. I'm going to tell you why now. Okay, so this is why we should be using ChatGPT and how best to use it. So this figure here, it comes from Benjamin Bloom's work, and I'll reference that below. And just describing it, what it shows is the educational outcomes for people with conventional learning, and that's the normal distribution that you see, and then a method of learning called mastery learning, which he was talking about, and then the outcomes that you get from one-to-one tuition learning. And as you can see, those with one-to-one tuition have enormously better outcomes. So even a average student with the one-to-one tuition is outperforming the strongest students under the conventional system. So ChatGPT gives you a chance to have that one-to-one tuition if you use it properly. And that's what I'm advocating here, using ChatGPT to help you become a better learner, a more effective learner, and then you can smash your course, learn really well, and then you'll be able to take that learning into your next career after your studies. So that's what we're trying to do here. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is how using AI can help you gather, bring together information, ideas, and concepts. Let's look at that. Okay, one of the things you can do, you can really use AI for, that will save you loads of time and make real sense for you as a student, is to use it to summarize documents. So here is a journal paper, and I've created a prompt that says, please summarize this document, highlight any key points and areas for discussion. See what we get. And there we go. It gives us this document is a comprehensive review of a research agenda. The research agenda focused on the relationship between intellectual property rights and foreign direct investment. There's a summary, purpose and scope, theoretical background, empirical evidence, challenges in the literature, key findings, future research agenda, and areas for discussion around theoretical ambiguities, methodological improvements, industry-specific effects, policy implications, data and measurement. So there, with just a few seconds, you've managed to have a look at this paper, this important paper. I wrote this paper. That's why it's important. This important paper, you've got some of the key items out of it and some key points in terms of discussion when you go into your lecture. Now, I'm not saying don't read the paper. Read the paper. It's important. But this has given you a way of taking a quick snapshot of that paper, especially if you are time pressurized, taking a quick snapshot of the paper so that you can move forward with your studies. Using that, taking in the information, using it yourself, critically analyzing it yourself, that's a great way of using Chat GPT. Okay, so I now want to talk a little bit about the sort of methodology of learning. So if you were learning the guitar, you wouldn't start by taking a rock classic and just trying to learn that. You start with the notes, maybe the chords, the transitions, rhythms, etc., and you build up your knowledge and your understanding of a subject before you tackle that big thing at the end. And this is how I think ChatGPT can help us study more effectively. So I've created a prompt here. What are the key concepts in the study of intellectual property rights? Give me a plan or sequence of which areas I should learn to gain an overall understanding of the topic. So let's see what we get. So here we are. It's given me a breakdown. Definition and scope, understand what the definition is and the scope, understanding the history and evolution of intellectual property rights, where they came from, why they were in, how they operated, the key principles, and then go through the types of intellectual property rights, patents, trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets, etc. And then looking at the major international agreements, all of this building my knowledge and understanding of the different parts of intellectual property rights. In this particular case, it could be any subject whatsoever. And then the economic and social aspects of IP, and then going into the advanced topics, IP and technology, litigation, enforcement, and then looking at the contemporary issues, what's happening today, access to medicines, for instance. We've just been through the COVID epidemic. How do people get access to intellectual property that allows them to stay safe from drugs, from disease, etc.? And then practical applications and case studies, and then integrating, and this is important, integrating all of those areas in at the end, so you have that full holistic view, and it even gives us a sequence of how to do it. This is really helpful, I think. This can, by using AI, this will help you to learn in bites, to bite off chunks that you can swallow, that you can make headway with, rather than overwhelming yourself with this big complex problem. And AI can help you with that. And if you remember earlier, I talked about that one-to-one tuition. This is using AI to be that tutor to help you through that learning process. Okay, one way that I think that AI can be really helpful in understanding quite complex things is to ask it to provide analogies to explain quite complex matters. So I've created a prompt here. Give me 3 analogies that explain intellectual property rights as they pertain to medicines. Let's see what we get. So the first analogy it's given me is a recipe book analogy. Imagine a world-renowned chef who creates a unique recipe for a special dish. That's the intellectual property. The chef writes this recipe down in a book and decides to keep the recipe exclusive. Intellectual property rights, like patents, allow the chef to control who can use that recipe, ensuring that others cannot simply copy it and profit from it without his permission. And it gives you an explanation. Similarly, when pharmaceutical companies develop a new drug, they can patent it. The patent gives the company exclusive rights to produce and sell the drug for a certain period, preventing others from copying the formula and making generic versions. This exclusivity allows the company to recoup its research and development costs. Helpful. The blueprint for a house analogy. Consider an architect who designs a unique blueprint for a house. This blueprint is a result of significant time, effort, and expertise. The architect holds the right to the design, and anyone who wants to build the house using this blueprint must get the architect's permission and possibly pay a fee. And then the exclusive concert tickets analogy. And with Taylor Swift filling out stadiums all across the world, this probably is one that makes the most sense. Imagine you have a ticket for an exclusive concert where only a limited number of people are allowed to attend. The ticket grants you the right to enjoy the performance, and it's illegal for someone to duplicate the ticket and sneak into the concert without paying. And then it puts that in the context of medicines. Intellectual property rights work similarly for medicines. When a company holds a patent for a drug, it's like having an exclusive ticket that allows them to manufacture and sell the drug. If somebody else tries to produce it without that permission, it's akin to counterfeiting a concert ticket. They're infringing the exclusive rights granted by the patent. So they're taking quite complex issues and using analogies is a way that you can enhance your learning of a particular subject. Okay, one of the really good ways of learning is to give yourself tests, give an answer, give a short answer, and then get some feedback from it, which is obviously a way that teachers use them all the time with their spot tests or their formative testing that you have at universities, but you can get Chat GPT to help you do that. So I've created a prompt, create 10 questions on intellectual property rights in the medical field to test my knowledge. After each question, allow me to input the answer and then critique the answer for me. Okay, see what we get. Question 1. What is the purpose of granting patents for new pharmaceutical drugs? It allows pharma companies make lots of money. So the answer touches on part of the broader purpose, but it's too narrow and provides some more context. Primary purpose for granting patents for new pharmaceutical drugs is to encourage innovation. That's the important part of intellectual property rights, to provide the inventing company with exclusive rights to market the drug for a certain period, typically 20 years. This exclusivity allows the company to recoup a significant investment it made in research and development, R&D. While making a profit is part of the incentive, the main goal is to ensure that companies are motivated to invest in new drug development, knowing they will have a temporary monopoly to sell the drug without competition. This period of exclusivity is crucial because developing a new drug can take many years of costs and billions of dollars. And it even gives me a refined answer. The purpose of granting patents for new pharmaceutical drugs is to encourage innovation by giving the inventing company exclusive rights to produce and sell the drug for a certain period, allowing them to recover their R&D investment and incentivizing further pharmaceutical research. So there we created a question, we gave it an answer, and then it critiqued the answer, gave me a fuller answer, and then gave a refined answer that I could have done, which would have been a better answer to that particular question. And you can see you can move through all of those questions, answering them, getting the refined answer, each time learning, deepening your knowledge so that you've got a better understanding of that particular subject. Okay, so next let's work out how we can use AI to support us to learn more complex issues. So some of that context that we've built up over a period of learning, different areas of a particular subject, how do we bring those together and start critically thinking about how they impact decisions at a more global level? Okay, so I've created a prompt here which says, okay, so now we've discussed the history of IPRs and their benefits to companies, which helps me understand the different decisions countries have to make and the various policy options they might have. Please set out the key concepts and choices that countries have to balance. So what I'm trying to do here is to start that critical thinking about bringing all of these concepts together into an overarching view of IPRs. So let's see what we get. So it thinks we're still talking about pharmaceutical industry. So here, what it's done, it's set out that there's a balance to be made between incentivizing innovation and ensuring that people have access to medicines. So if you give too long of a patent, for instance, that allows a particular company to put up the price of a drug, reduces the access to medicine. So countries have to balance those two things. As it says, strong patent protection can lead to high drug prices. So the policy choice is that countries may consider mechanisms like price controls or subsidies or differential pricing to make medicines more affordable but still respecting IPRs. Patent duration versus generic competition. So once a patent runs out, you get generics of various drugs. So you have to balance what that is. Is it 20 years or do you make it 10 years or 15 years? And these are choices that countries have. Compulsory licensing versus voluntary licensing. This allows governments to authorize the production of a patented drug without the consent of the patent holder, typically in cases of public health emergencies. So a drug that it might solve a public health issue, if there's a public health emergency, the government can say, well, actually, I know you've got a patent, but we're going to allow other people to use it. And then voluntary licensing, where pharmaceutical companies may voluntarily license their patents to other manufacturers in exchange for royalties. And then there is issues around adherence to international agreements and national flexibility. So there are international agreements like TRIPS, the trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights. And there is also those sort of more local, more country-specified options that might give you access to new technologies, etc., new drugs in this particular case. So you have to balance those things off. Trade-offs between short-term access and long-term innovation. So if you don't respect intellectual property rights, you're likely to not get drugs, etc., brought to your country or new technologies, but you might have that initial gain of a boost of technology. So you've got to balance off the long term and the short term, and then the public health and commercial interests, data exclusivity and open access, balancing domestic and international pharmaceutical interests. So here we've used AI to help us start that process of critical thinking, of looking at the different concepts that we built up over time. We used the AI to help us to come to some sort of learning plan that's taken us through a series of concepts. And then we're bringing them all together. Again, not asking AI to do the work for us, but using AI to help us think it through, challenge it. And as I always say, go back and ask questions, go deeper, dig deeper, etc. in the AI. I think if we use these tools like this, we can really 10x our learning, the way we learn. We've got some body, we've got AI, we've got some thing, so we've got something that we can go and we can talk about really complex subjects. We can look at different concepts. We can put them together in an overarching theory, and we can have a discussion with the AI to help us draw ourselves out. So it's not the AI doing the work, it's using the AI to help us to learn more effectively. And if we go through that process, then when we do write our essays, when we do have our conversations with our professors or in our class, when we do make our presentations or go to our vivas, we'll be better informed. We'll have had those arguments, we've had those discussions, and we'll have gone into depth around that particular subject. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is get AI to critique our work. So like having a copywriter, like having somebody that you can put your work in and say, give me some feedback on it. Tell me how I can improve it. Tell me what I'm missing, etc. So I've created a prompt. Please critique this draft and give me tips on how I could improve it. This is something I wrote several years ago, so we'll see. So your draft provides a practical and personal account of how LinkedIn can be a valuable tool for business researchers. It's got strengths, it's got personal experience, practical tips focused on LinkedIn. It's got some focus. Areas for improvement. Clarity. The introduction could be tighter, more focused. Subheadings. Consider using subheadings, for example. Tone and language. A professional tone. While the tone is friendly and approachable, it sometimes comes across as too informal. You can do that sometimes, especially for a professional blog. Phrases like, you don't want to burn your reputation, could be rephrased to be mindful of your professional reputation. Consistency. Ensure it's consistent. Punctuation. Put some details and examples in there. Specify the benefits, and then a call to action. And it's even given me some potential revisions. How useful would that be when you've got a piece of work, you're not quite sure if it's finished, you can pop it into the AI and get some feedback. And what I'm not saying is get the AI to write it. Listen to the feedback, go back to your knowledge, your understanding, your understanding of the concepts, and then broaden out your paper, your essay, whatever, to make sure that it's as good as it absolutely can be. This is like having somebody who's clever, who's there for you 24 hours a day, helping you with your work. It's your work, but you've got this helper that's at hand that understands lots of things, that you can train to understand the subjects that you're working on, that can understand your style and can help you with your learning. I hope that was helpful for you. Let me reiterate, Chat GPT, all of the AIs, they will hallucinate. They'll make stuff up. So don't just go in and say, write me this essay, do this piece of work for me. It will get it wrong. You will look stupid. You will get found out, and you will either get a 0, get a warning, get thrown off your course. And I don't want that. Nobody wants that. What you can do is use this technology to help you learn more efficiently, help you become more knowledgeable about your subject, help you critically think through the different areas of your subject. That's how to use this technology to make you into a better student. Now, I said I would put some notes in here for teachers, because none of us want our students to be using this instead of using their brains, to be using AI rather than critically analysing papers, analysing the work that they've been taught and bringing it together to demonstrate their knowledge. No one wants to know about what AI knows. They want to know the knowledge of the student. So here's some things that teachers, lecturers can do. And for the students that are still watching, this is what will be happening in your classrooms. So don't use AI to cheat. Use it to learn smarter and more effectively. Okay, so number 1, in your assessments, make sure that students are required to provide insights or answers during the class. Make it difficult for them to outsource the work into AI. So those discussions that you have in the classroom, in the lecture theatre, that's where you will be tested. That's where you test. And so you haven't got AI, they're answering the questions for you. You have to. So get used to that. Secondly, make sure that you're asking students to reference the in-course materials. So the AI won't know where all of the information in the course has come from, and you've created your specific course. So make sure that students are asked to reference the in-course materials, and this encourages them to engage with the course and the content and to think critically. 3, ask your students to put local events or examples into their assignments. Make it harder for students to use pre-existing AI generated content. So test them to have local content, local examples in their reports. 4, ask the students to include personal examples and reflections in any work that you set them. This will be much more difficult for AI to reproduce, and it will ensure that the students engage with the activity. 5, use oral presentations and discussions, a viva if you like. I know at some universities, they have made it possible that any piece of academic work could be tested by a viva. So even the fact that is there, where a student has to defend a position in front of a panel or a professor, means that they're less likely to just hand over the work to the AI. And this can be a really effective way of getting people to engage and share their knowledge with the group. Number 6, make sure that any assessments that are built are authentic. They reflect real life scenarios, encouraging, and they obviously encourage students to think critically and creatively around those scenarios, rather than just asking students about theory and principle, etc. Tip 7, make sure that you're focusing on the process of learning, not just the final outcome. So developing ways of assessing students that includes showing them what documents they searched, how they cut down the amount of papers, what choices they made about what they included and what they excluded. That will be something that will be very difficult to recreate in AI. Number 8, use AI detection tools. They're out there. They work to a certain extent. They're pretty good. Obviously, the most effective AI detection tool is in your head. And I know that many of my colleagues can spot AI generated active work a mile off, but there are tools out there. And so make use of those tools and make it known to the students that you'll be using those tools. And a lot of those tools are very effective at picking up AI generated work. Number 9, teach your students about responsible use of AI. I hope this video has been of help. Tell them that it's just wrong to get AI to do their coursework for them, but support them to use AI in the ways that I've set out that help them become better, more engaged students. And 10, just keep your eye on things. Evolve, adapt, make sure that you are constantly moving things around, make it more difficult for students to just rely on AI. No one benefits. They don't benefit. You don't benefit. It undermines the value of the learning that you've given them. So keep adapting, keep moving, and you will stay ahead of the game. I hope that's been helpful. And teachers, I think the stable door is wide open. AI is out there. We know our students are using it, and so they should, as far as I'm concerned, but we know they're using it. What we need to do is to make sure that it doesn't stop them learning. It enhances their learning. It doesn't stop them building the skills, the knowledge, the creativity, the critical thinking that we're trying to support them with, but it supports all of those things. Okay, I hope you found that useful. If you haven't already, please subscribe, please ring the bell. If you've got any comments, if there's anything else you want me to cover, if you've got any comments on the content of this video, please put it in the comments below and I will answer everything. Certainly try my best to answer everything that you put in there. I've been the Professor. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.